So, Deepti, have you been able to watch the conjunction at all? Have you had clear skies?
No, it's very foggy. We are.
Foggy right now, yes.
Well, there's a picture of it taken by,
Christopher go. Yeah.
yeah, Christopher. That's a
Yeah, I,
beautiful
I,
picture.
I shared with my friends the picture captured by Christopher Go.
Yes,
Yeah, he sure knows how to tickle a camera, doesn't he?
yes. We're starting to have people log back in. First comment is good evening. It's raining all night here.
Where's that from, Scott? Scotty?
Stefan Del Pra. I think Stefan's in Australia.
Hmm.
Hmm. And James, the astrophotographer. Good morning again, everybody. I think James also does not sleep.
Hmm.
He caught the last program. Thanks for signing on. Yep, Stefan's in Melbourne.
Down in the southern hemisphere,
Hmm. And
where
Michael
it's.
Whitaker. I think Michael Whitaker's in the UK.
I know Michael Whitaker.
Do you?
Yeah, he's a pilot, isn't he?
I don't know. He might be.
By the way, speaking of Tim Hunter, he did say he's going to try to visit at some point during the day.
Okay. Very good. I'll have to get Tim to give a short presentation sometime.
He doesn't want to, but I think you should try to get him.
Yeah, I know he doesn't want to. We'll have to do some arm twisting.
I think he'll do it if you ask him.
Yeah. I want to go to the Lyndon Baines Johnson School of Arm Twisting. Hmm.
Yeah, I think. Did you remember President Johnson a long time before both Forby and DT? But he had this way of persuading people, and
Yes,
he would stand up and he would lean over when he'd ask people, and you couldn't say no to the guy.
right. That's why they call him the arm twister.
Mm. Call him a lot of other things too.
Yeah, he got called a lot of other things too. I don't think it bothered him much.
Well, the war bothered him a lot. There's
The
a
war
famous
did.
picture of
Yes. He's,
him sitting at his desk where there's people outside the White House protesting and yelling and screaming, and he's sitting at his desk in the Oval Office all alone with his head on the desk in tears.
yeah.
And I have that picture in one in the book here. It's he really was unhappy with that.
Ernest Bastian says, good morning, everybody. Our weatherman says cloudy tonight here in Rochester, New York, so I think I'm out of luck to view it. Uh, After you guys watch this segment, you can go and watch the earlier segment that we did with Christopher Go in the Philippines. And you can see live views of it through his telescope. And uh, so that's why we're doing this. We know some people are clouded out, some people are rained out, some people are fogged out. So, um, but you know, there are people watching it around the world, and it is a beautiful sight. Just amazing to see it through a telescope, and that's the way to see it, is see it visually, if you can. If you can't, then you'll see it here. And that view that you're seeing right now is a shot that Christopher Go did yesterday. And even today, Jupiter and Saturn are much closer than the image shows here.
As I have shared with my a lot of friends in the school about the Great Conjunction, and I have suggested them to look up the sky today, and they just message me like saying, I'm just able to see the two dots.
Oh, hey, but you're seeing it. That's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
You're seeing something that's not been seen in 800 years.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
There was one 400 years ago, but it took place in daylight, so nobody saw it.
Yeah.
And there was no telescopes at either of those two. So really, this is the first one
Hmm.
that we're all able to see through a telescope and enjoy it. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that wonderful? It gives you the shivers almost.
Yeah. So, Deepti, what time is it in Nepal right now?
6:43 p.m.
4:30.
6:43.
6:43 p.m. Okay.
So it's getting dark over there. Mm.
And it's foggy, right? Uh, well, you still have a couple more days to see a spectacular view.
It's the beauty about conjunctions like this is that they take their time. You'll have at least maybe about half a week. If you get the sky clear one of those days, you'll still see them very, very close.
Kareem Jaffer says clouds here in Montreal with the RASC Montreal Center.
Hello,
Hi.
Karim.
Thanks for sharing the pics and views with us, Explore Scientific.
Yeah, I know him very well.
So those of you who are watching, this is an outreach program, and you can participate. Those of you in chat can participate in the outreach by liking and sharing and subscribing to this program. We were able to reach thousands of people with the first program this morning, and we hope to reach thousands more. Well, good morning, everybody. This is Scott Roberts with David Levy and Steve Malia. Steve is being our co-host today with the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada.
Morning, Scott.
Morning. Good morning, David. Our special guests are Libby and the Stars and Deepti Gautam. Deepti is in Nepal. Libby is in here in the USA, and we are here to talk about this great conjunction that's happened today. We will be, this is the second install of a 5-part series that's happening today. So we've got three more shows to do. There'll be talks, there'll be live imaging going on, door prizes. So it's, you're going to see some amazing stuff. But our youngest participants are here with us today. Libby is 10 years old and Deepti is 16. She has started her own astronomy club in Nepal. So we'll hear more about Deepti's impressions of the conjunction as well as Libby's. But we start all of our programs with our co-host. So Steve, what did you think about this morning's program with Christopher Go?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. It was great to see Jupiter and Saturn in that same frame. I can't think of another word other than magic, really, because as Dave had mentioned earlier, on air and off air, he was talking about last time that this had happened was 400 years ago, and it was during the daytime. No one had even seen it. So this is probably the first time that it's ever been witnessed by humans, which I think is quite exciting. So I can't think of any other way to describe it other than magic and beautiful. Really, it was great. It was great to see, and I'm really glad that Christopher was able to get clear skies. As you said, it was just there where he was. Everywhere else in the Philippines was clouded out.
That part was magic too. He was supposed to be in a storm, so.
Yes.
So it was wonderful.
It worked out. And you could hear the excitement in the background too. Everybody wanted to take a look through the eyepiece while he was imaging. So
right.
You had to hurry up and do that. So that was great. After our call, I went outside and it's cloudy here now. So what do you do? But so I'm grateful that we're doing this event and we can share this experience with people around the world, which is again another, to me, a magical thing, right? That we can do this.
Right. Yeah. So if you're watching, please take a moment to share this program with your friends and with any special groups that you enjoy, astronomy groups especially, that you enjoy participating with. Our programs always start with a special talk by David Levy, and David has been someone that has given so much. He's devoted his entire life not only to explore the night skies, but to share that exploration and discovery with others. He has been a constant inspiration, through his books, through his lectures, through his camaraderie. He is someone that you could often find at a star party, and he's been to many of those. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, he has not been able to get out under so many dark skies, but he has done so many virtual events with astronomy clubs and all of the global star parties, of which we're now at the 27th global star party. So I'm going to turn this stage over to David and let him describe what's happening in only the way that David can.
Well, thank you so much, Scotty. And it's more than an honor to be here for a number of reasons. To being with Steve, one of the former center presidents of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada.
That's right.
It's a small group of people that have run centers. And I think it's wonderful to have Steve here. Look forward to what he has to say in the next little while.
Thank you.
But really, what is really magic, and Steve talked about the magic of what's happening right now with the conjunction. What adds to that magic are the two younger people that we have today, Libby in the stars and Deepti. And these two people represent what amateur astronomy is going to be. They represent the next generation of amateur astronomers, maybe 2 generations or more past mine. But what they represent is the future and the hope for the future. If they weren't here today, I would say we really shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be looking at this conjunction at all. Because what's the point? What is the point, Scott, of looking at it and,
just having it all for ourselves? So
and having it all for ourselves
That's true.
when we can't really share it with people like Deepti and Libby.
That's
I am
right.
so glad that they're here today to add their wisdom to us. In the last 27 star parties, I have to admit, I've learned more than I've expected from Libby and her presentations. And, you know, I would be listening to her and I'd be thinking, blah, 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 blah. And then after her talk is over, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I didn't know that. And I'd look it up. I say, I'm going to show her wrong. And I look it up, whatever she said, she wasn't wrong. She taught me something. And I am really very happy to have both Libby and Deepti as teachers. They're very, very, very close to me, and I'm really so pleased to have them here. And thanks for coming and joining us. This is it. This is the day. We've been waiting for this all year. I remember looking up in the 2020 handbook, Observer's Handbook of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, and I totally agree with Steve that this is the book that rules all other books. If I were marooned on a desert island and the ship that went down had a library full of books, every book that has ever been written, from the Bible to everything else, I would want a copy of, I would want a copy besides the first folio of William Shakespeare. I would certainly want a copy and a copy of Starlight Nights by Leslie Peltier. And I can't remember what the other book was, but it'll come to me later. It's been a long night, people. Anyway, I'm going to go on.
And no sleep.
No, well, it was an important book I was remembering, but I just can't remember it right now. But I would certainly want to have, have the Bible, and I'd want to have, because there's so much astronomy and so much about the night sky that you can find there. And also Leslie Peltier's famous book, Starlight Nights, which has such wonderful things in it. I have something to confess right now, and that is that I have never in my life taken a course in astronomy. I am officially an idiot, I have totally no knowledge of astronomy that I've picked up from any courses ever in my entire life. I do have a doctorate that I got from the Hebrew University. I got it by writing a thesis about William Shakespeare. And you're probably all wondering, well, what is he doing here if he doesn't know anything about astronomy? Well, my dissertation had to do with the night sky during the time of William Shakespeare. And Shakespeare during his life would have loved this conjunction. Most of the people who shared his interest in the sky did it for different reasons. They did it for astrology, not for astronomy. And I agree with almost all of you that there's really no place in modern science for astrology. But this conjunction that we are looking at right now is really bringing us to ancient astrology, to what happened thousands of years ago, when astrologers would look up at the sky and make calculations as to where the planets were, where they would be in the sky. They'd predict eclipses. Some people built Stonehenge to predict eclipses, predict the motions of the planets. But one of the things that they learned all those years ago was that every 20 years, Jupiter and Saturn get very close together, and they form what is called a great conjunction. The first one I saw was on September the 1st, 1960. Wasn't nearly as good as this one, but Jupiter and Saturn were pretty close together in the sky. And that was the first time I looked through a telescope, September the 1st, 1960. Really something I'll never forget. And as I kind of wish that Shakespeare could come back for a couple of minutes, attend our Global Star Party, I do firmly believe that if he did come back, he would A, want to look at the conjunction with us, and B, want to hear what Scotty was up to with his Global Star Parties. But even though he knew his audience, and he knew that most of them were interested in astrology and interested in the stars because of their astrological significance, one of the few things we know about Shakespeare as a person is that he did not follow astrology. He didn't believe in it. And he actually told us that in Sonnet 14. Not from the stars do I my judgment pluck, and yet methinks I have astronomy. But he never followed astrology, interestingly enough. In my thesis, I actually quoted and referred to some of the things that Shakespeare wrote, and a lot of the presentations and a lot of the plays that he has written, he talks about astrological things. He talks about trigons. He talks about all kinds of alignments of planets and other things that could really scare you in the night sky. And the most famous one, of course, is from Julius Caesar, where Calpurnia says, when beggars die, there are no comets seen. The heavens themselves blaze forth the death of princes. When I read that in high school in 1965, that was one of the things that kind of persuaded me to start a search for comets. Not because I was afraid a comet was going to come and knock me off, but because it was interesting and it was something that I should do and I could learn about. And it was fun to do. And so I followed that throughout the rest of my life. And I've tried to unite the two very diverse and different fields of English literature, particularly English poetry, and the night sky. And so for my quote now, I am going to quote from Gerard Manley Hopkins. It happens to be my favorite poem ever. My master's thesis supervisor at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, gave a speech once in which he mentioned the poem, and he said, one of my graduate students fell in love with that poem, and so help me, I have never seen a person express more joy and enthusiasm over a work of literature than David did about Hopkins and his comet poem. I really love this.
That's great.
And I'm now going to read it. And as you can see, I don't need to read it. I can just say it.
Yeah.
I am like a slip of comet, scarce worth discovery, in some corner seen bridging the slender difference of two stars. Come out of space, or suddenly engendered by heady elements, for no one knows. But when she sights the sun, she grows and sizes and spins her skirts out, while her central star shakes its cocooning mists. And so she comes to fields of light, millions of traveling rays pierce her. She hangs upon the flame-cased sun and sucks the light as full as Gideon's fleece. But then her tether calls her. She falls off, and as she dwindles, sheds her smock of gold amidst the sistering planets, and then goes out into the cavernous dark. So I go out, my little sweet is done. I have drawn heat from this contagious sun. To not ungentle death, now forth I run. I hope you're all going to be able to get a chance, at least in the next few days, if not today, to see Jupiter and Saturn visiting each other, enjoying each other's company, and trying to remind us that the sky belongs to everyone. They belong to our generation. They belong to Scott and Steve. But most of all, to Libby and Deepti. Back to you, Scotty. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a beautiful poem. Yeah, I don't think I've heard that poem before. It's beautiful. So
Well, thank you.
I'll have to find it and keep it. So
How about if I send it to you?
that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. So our first speaker this morning will be Libby and the Stars. Libby, I met Libby a few months ago, and she came into our showroom here at Explore Scientific, and she was looking for a new telescope. She already had a telescope. She had a 60 millimeter telescope that she taught herself how to use, and taught her friends how to properly use it, and as well as her parents. So she is someone that loves astronomy. She loves space exploration. She loves it so much that she went through her school library and read every book in the library about the subject of astronomy or space exploration. And she still to this day is very very much involved in learning more and more about the heavens and how the cosmos works. And I think it's quite remarkable for a young person to be so involved with this. And I wish that I had friends like her when I was a young boy, because that would have been really awesome to share that enthusiasm that I also had, trying to find the moon and the planets with my small telescope. So, but Libby, I'm going to turn the stage over to you. Thanks for coming on with us today. I know it's early, but here we go.
Today is a very exciting day for all the astronomers all over the world, because Jupiter and Saturn are having a conjunction, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the shows today are all going to be about that and a lot of that live imaging. I think it's really cool because we're now in a generation, or hopefully like the next couple of years, we're now stuck at home because of quarantine. And I'm actually kind of happy because you can enjoy some of the things at home, like the conjunction and the astronomical aspects and all the astronomical news happening right now in our generation. And it's so cool while we're stuck at home. A bunch of the amateur astronomers, you can go outside right now with like a pair of binoculars or a small telescope to be able to see the conjunction really easily. And maybe even when you're just with like your eyes even. And this is super cool because while we're stuck at home, you can still do a lot of the astronomy activities and follow along. It's kind of easy to, just jump in and start doing astronomy more and more and more, because I know there's a lot of astronomers like going out, and there's a lot of news right now. There's conjunctions, there's comets this year, but it's kind of nice while we're stuck at home to be able to have, something easy to look at and something that's so convenient to be able to go and see outside. I'm very excited because the first planet that I started to observe with my first telescope was Saturn. And Saturn's probably one of my favorite planets just because of that being one of my first planets to look at. And me and my family, once we got it in our view, we were fascinated by it. Not only was it me, but my mom, my dad, my brother, we were all out every night in the summer till about 10 o'clock, and we went back in. But Saturn is like one of the coolest planets to me because it's so easy to look at and view, just the conveniency of it. And along with Jupiter, one of the it was my second planet I started viewing because they're so close together and they're just so easy to find in the sky. I always look at its moons. Like, you could see them all out, like all spaced out. And it was always so cool to me because I was like looking at scales of the solar system. In the usual scale, they don't space it out correctly. If you could like find a real scale online, not actually as long as it, but a model, you can actually see how far spaced out these planets are. And I don't think a lot of people realize that because I have a solar system model that I made, and it's not like the actual scale of the universe. And because I know the universe is very like spaced out, and the solar system is too. And the planets are huge and big and giant. And I know a lot of models don't capture that because they're like, they're just so, they're either itty bitty and tiny, or they're either going to be huge or ginormous and spaced out. And it's always so, and I never knew about how spaced out the planets were until I started like observing Saturn, Jupiter. And I think that's super cool because like they're still spaced out in the solar system, but now in our sky, they're so close together, you can get them in the same view, and you can see them, like, you can see them together so perfectly. And I know this won't happen for another 800 years or so or longer, like it did probably a long, long time ago, but they didn't have the technology of a telescope. They didn't have the technology of binoculars. They just had the technology of their eyes. And I'm sure the people back then would probably still happily enjoy the conjunction all the way back then without a telescope and binoculars. And now that it's, you know, our generation and the conjunction has happened, we have telescopes, binoculars, we have better stuff to view it with. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff out there you can view the conjunction with. And back then they didn't have anything, but they sure did enjoy it. And I'm sure this generation will too, with all this technology and everything that we can use to capture with a telescope. And we also have editing now on computers, and we can go online and we can zoom in and we can we can crop it out. We can take pictures through telescope. I'm sure a lot of people have observatories here where you can like move the dome. And back then they didn't even have anything to work with. They just had their eyes. Now they may have something to magnify it. If you were lucky, you were a scientist back then, all the way back then. If you were even a human, you could enjoy it a lot too, which I think is super cool because, I mean, now we have, like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of technology out there, huge telescopes. It's awesome to see it with. And like even me, I could go and view it with my Dobsonian or my 60 millimeter even. I still use that telescope a lot and I still enjoy it because it's just a nice like little telescope. I mean, I still enjoy like the simply easy to use telescope. And I'm sure, and that's like connecting to the people back then a long time ago when they didn't have anything. When I didn't have like my huge Dobsonian, I still enjoyed my tiny 60 millimeter telescope out in the yard. And I would be amazed if I got a look at Saturn or the moon, and I would take pictures and I would share it. And I'm sure that's how it worked back then a lot too. And I wanted to talk about this cat named Feliciette, the space cat, because I'm very inspired by this cat. I've always been a cat lover in my life, and I thought this was kind of amazing and kind of like sci-fi like, and like something that would never happen in another 800 years of sending a cat into space. And I was just so amazed by this because connecting to that, that cat was a street cat. And then people of France their space company was like, why not? Let's send a cat into space to test and see if humans could go to space and see, because they didn't want to risk a human before, they would rather risk a cat. And now obviously that's not what I thought it was. I was like, they were sending a cat into space back then. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I was very deeply interested into this cat, and I did a presentation for school on this cat. And I thought it was so cool because everyone else just did presentations on normal stuff. And I was like, guys, there's a cat in space that launched 1963. And a lot of my class is like, huh?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that, right? They don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure I heard another cat got credit for it, Felix, because there's 14 cats that they were testing to go into space, and Felix is one of them. So there's a Felix and Feliciette, and so Feliciette was the one that went into space, but Felix got the credit for it, which I'm kind of a little bit mad about, because that cat was so brave to go into space. I mean, it didn't even have a choice, and France was just like, off it goes into space.
Oh.
And I thought it was so cool because, a lot of people don't treat cats nicely. And I have a cat myself, and I often think of that because I'm like, what if I sent my cat into space? It's pretty cool and sci-fi kind of to think about, because that cat was probably a street cat, and then it was a street cat, didn't have anything to do with astronomy, and then it just got right into it, and it was in the orbit for 20 minutes. And I was looking back at the pictures, and I'm like, this is so inspiring. I mean, the cat didn't have a choice, but I'm sure once it got up into space, it really enjoyed it. Just a small 1 hour trip into space and 1 hour back, and it really enjoyed it. And I think that's part of it too, me enjoying my tiny 60mm telescope. Now, France probably enjoyed sending a cat up into space for 1 hour. I know that was for experiments and stuff to see if they could send a human to space. But I'm sure France probably was like, why did we send another cat into space? And I think that's really cool because a street cat had no knowledge about space, probably doesn't, but it just got swooped into astronomy, just became an astronaut in the next couple 14 weeks. And it's just now it was an astronaut. And I'm very inspired by this cat because again, it had nothing to do with astronomy, no resources like the people back then when the conjunction happened, and they had nothing to work with, not telescopes, binoculars, but but the cat still went to space, and they still got to see the conjunction with their eyes, which I think is super cool. It a very inspiring story for amateur astronomers.
Excellent, Libby. That's excellent. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to look more into these cats myself. I'm aware of dogs being sent into space, but I did not know that cats went into space too. So that's something I need to learn. Thank you very much. That's great.
Thank you.
That's great. Excellent talk. Okay, well, we're going now from the United States all the way to Nepal. And Deepti is, she was letting us know that this is her 17th Global Star Party. I was letting both Libby and Deepti know that many, many thousands of people have heard their talks over this last several months that we've been giving Global Star Parties. And they've been inspiring, they inspire us as adults, but I know that they're also inspiring a younger generation. Deepti has as I mentioned earlier, is the president of an astronomy club that she started in her high school. She has also joined. Let me make sure I got it right. Is it the Nepal Astronomical Society? Is that right? Yes. So you're a junior member of that, which is
Yes.
great, and that's a very serious organization. So I hope that you're finding that exciting and rewarding yourself, DT.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn the stage over to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Today is the day we are waiting for, and yeah, I have something to show. As we know, the Great Conjunction is about the conjunction between the Jupiter and Saturn, and here is some picture which was capture. I also saw that about the Great Conjunction of. Okay. Yeah. Are you able to see?
Yes. Yes. Look at that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you take this picture, DT?
It is captured by the AEN,
Okay.
Astronomy Invest in Nepal,
Okay.
by the one of the founder member, that Akash Gurung, by his own telescope. Just now he has sent me this picture, and all about this. I have something here. Okay. And as we knew about the Great Conjunction is about the Jupiter and Saturn, so and and as we know that Jupiter is my all favorite one, and all about in this solar system, there is a conjunction between this Jupiter and Saturn, and we can see here this conjunction between the Jupiter and Saturn. As we are familiar, the Jupiter's here, its diameter, distance, yeah, and all over the info, and yeah, about the Jupiter's is the fact about the most distinguished features of the Jupiter is the great red spot, and that cloud blend, and the Galilean moon, and storm on gas giant, yeah, and last long is because there was no continents over which they can lose their energy and dissipate, and some fact about the Jupiter is Jupiter is just 11 times, and more than 11 times bigger than the Earth, and it is also called the king of gods. Jupiter is, according to David said about this astrology, belief of astrology, and the Jupiter is said to be the kings of God, and Jupiter Jupiter has the strongest gravity, and
Mm-hmm.
300, which was this gas giant storm that was said to be 300 years old, and it has the highest number of and uh, Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and here we go toward the Saturn, and Saturn with the rings, a very beautiful planet. And after this Jupiter, Saturn is one of my favorites because the mysteries about this its rings and its beauty itself. And this Saturn is the second largest planet in our solar system, and that our planet that is less dense than water, and it has mainly Saturn is wholly covered by this contains the hydrogen and heliums and cloud and storm, and about these rings, it was made by the rocks and ice, and from Jupiter's. And let's talk about the Great Conjunction. And I have one uh, poem about the Great Conjunction, related to the Great Conjunction. Okay, I'll say that. Sun below the horizons in the cold winter evening, a hint of orange and dark, two cosmic giant. Okay. Two cosmic giants so close yet so far, cause tonight we are gonna witness the Christmas star. We are gonna witness the Christmas star. After centuries, here comes the historical night. After centuries, here comes the historical night. Beneath the roof of heaven, the excitement to see something that amazingly caused tonight. We are going to witness the Christmas star. We are gonna witness the Christmas star. Lucky to exist in this wonderful cosmos. Hope for a new beginning. Wish for you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's. Let's make a moment to be happy, leaving behind all those scars. Cause tonight we are gonna witness the Christmas star and Jupiter, the giant gas, and Saturn with the rings, and comes and meet after 20 years, just like doing meet and kiss. December 21st, our day waiting for, and now we are ready to observe and capture a great conjunction, a great conjunction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deepti. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so that concludes our second segment here. We've got Jerry Hubbles joining us here as well, so it's nice to see you drop in, Jerry.
Thanks,
We
Scott.
we've just now finished the second segment of our five-segment Global Star Party. So this is kind of new for us, but hey, there's only this kind of conjunction once every 20 years, and the first time for it to be this close in 800 years. So, it deserves our time. So, and as Steve Malia said to me earlier, we can stay up, Scott. We used to do it in college. So,
Absolutely.
I'm going to give it my best right now. I'm running off of about 2 hours of sleep.
I bought stock in various coffee companies
Did you?
beforehand.
Yeah, yeah.
I really enjoyed those two presentations. They were very informative, very well spoken, both of you.
Yes. Thank
Be
you.
Proud of the work that you've done, the work that you're doing. Please continue with it. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise.
Right.
You are the future of astronomy, not just the hobby, but the industry, the science, right? Everything to do with it, right? Please continue your work. Continue to inspire. You've inspired me, and renewed my faith in astronomy as well. So thank you very much. That to me is an excellent gift, and I thank you for it.
Yes, I agree. Our next segment is going to start at 10 o'clock Central, which is 1600 UTC. And this section of the 27th Global Star Party, the Great Conjunction, will cover from Europe to Africa. We have Mike Simmons will be joining us. He was instrumental in introducing us to these new participants to the Global Star Party, so it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm sure very educational. I'm looking forward to their presentations. I'm not sure if we'll have any live imaging during the segment or not, but I hope so. But nonetheless, we're going to learn something and share the excitement of astronomy around the world. And that is the essence of the Global Star Party, is inspiring all of us to look up and to share the one sky that we have. So we will be back. Is there any last thoughts from any of you? You have some.
Yeah, I do. I was just outside, just briefly, took a look at another planet that's in the sky tonight. We have Jupiter and Saturn that are really the stars of our show, and that Libby and Deepti were talking so eloquently about. I really loved your poem, Deepti. I really.
Thank you.
David, you're muted. There we go.
But now, as I went out to see the dawn, because here in Arizona, the night is ending and dawn is coming, Venus is in the sky.
Oh,
Venus is brighter than all the other planets. It's a small planet. And I remember what Carl Sagan, in his famous Cosmos series, he did a section called Heaven and Hell. Venus was hell, and Mars, he thought, was heaven. And I can see his point on that. But it was lovely to see Venus this morning. And thank you all so much for joining us. And I hope some of you will join us again in a couple of hours.
Yes. Yeah, and Venus deserves a closer look. In fact, it's getting a very close look right now as astronomers are debating the data that was observed that maybe there was phosphine observed in the atmosphere of Venus, and the possibility that this phosphine was created from life that's living within the atmosphere. So this is a very tantalizing observation. There's a group of astronomers that say they didn't find any phosphine. There's another group that say they did. So we're going to have more observations and more careful study. But it's really interesting to see the back and forth debates that are going on, and you can learn more about that by just doing a simple Google. And if you looked at Google today, you would see the Google Doodle of Jupiter and Saturn, giving a high five, and Saturn with using its rings as like a hat. So it's pretty cool, kind of humorous, and I just love it. So I love, the whole world right now is celebrating this conjunction, and I don't think that Libby or Deepti will ever forget it. Thanks for sharing your insights and your programs, and we look forward to having you on again. So, all right, so we will be back at 10 a.m. Central, 1600 UTC. The episode that would come on right after that would be at 1:50 p.m. Central and 1950 UTC, and then the final segment will be at 4:45 p.m. Central and at 22:45 UTC. So that would complete the 5-part series. But I hope you all are as excited as we are about the conjunction. I plan to run outside again and go see it because I saw it yesterday evening, and it was just beautiful, just beautiful. It was surreal, magical. Several of us had said that it was as impressive as seeing a total eclipse of the sun, and that is amongst some of the most spectacular things that you can see in all the skies. So, all right. So,
hey Scott,
sure.
Before we take off, there's a picture that I shared earlier.
Okay, let's see it
on Facebook, and this was taken. Hopefully you can see my scrin.
Oh,
this
yeah,
was taken
check it out.
Days ago.
Yeah, beautiful.
Right. By
Yes.
Sebastian Voltmer. He's in. This was in France, right? So this was this was 5 days ago when the Moon, Saturn, and Jupiter were all in a straight horizontal line.
Yes.
And this is probably one of my more favorite pictures that I've seen so far of this event leading up to today and the conjunction today. So I thought this was just absolutely beautiful. I've shared it in a few places. It's been making its rounds as well. It's got 5,300 likes or reactions to it. Lots of over 30,000 shares. So it's made its rounds, but I wanted to share it again. I think this is absolutely beautiful and a great shot of what we're witnessing today.
I agree. That's awesome. Okay. Jerry, you're here with us. Did you want to comment on anything?
Yeah, I kind of snuck into the meeting or into the broadcast a little bit. I got up early this morning and I watched your Christopher Goes. I watched the recorded version. It was awesome to watch what Chris was providing us with great views of Saturn and Jupiter. But unfortunately, I came on also to tell you that that at the MSRO we're going to have cloudy skies more than likely tonight with the forecast, and we've got issues with our horizon, as I said in the chat. So
Right.
it's not in the cards for us right now, but
Well, you can hang out with us and enjoy it. So
yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
that's great. All right, Jerry. Thanks. All right. Well, we will see everybody very soon. It's now 7:47 a.m. here in Arkansas, where I'm broadcasting from, and I'll be back at 10 o'clock. So a couple more hours, and we'll see you for our next segment. Again, it's going to be Europe to Africa with Mike Simmons. So take care.